Okay, so I've got my my space enclosed there with a ceiling on top of it now and walls on all four sides of the bathroom. And I've also made a perspective view of the interior, which you can see there. And so I want to render this perspective, but before I can do that, I need to get some natural lighting, and I'm going to use a curtain wall to do that. And I need to make an opening in this wall for my curtain wall. So I'm really using a bit of a workaround here. There are definitely ways you could use the door and window tools to achieve the same thing, but I've just found it easier when you have a set of openings or panels in an opening, like you can see here in this example here. I've got this glazed opening on the right there. I've just found again it's easier to use the curtain wall tool for that. And so you can use that wall tool to make your curtain wall, but you'll need to make an opening in, for example, this wall here for the curtain wall to go into. It won't make an opening the way a door or window would. So you might know that there is the opening panel on the architecture tab, which gives you options to make openings in all these different objects. And that's one, I don't know if any of you have tried that one. I'll just show you it quickly if you haven't. I know some of you have. Yeah. So when you click on the wall opening, also the wall option in that opening panel, you can select the wall and then just click and drag to make a rectangular opening. And so that's a really handy tool just for making those quick openings in any wall like that. The problem with it is that it's hard to be accurate. So if I select that now, you'll see it's going to give me dimensions, and I'll just change that to a round number, maybe 2000. You can see that it's moved the whole thing, and now if I want to change the other side and make that also a round number, let's say 1700, moved it back, and now this isn't 2000 anymore. You can stretch using the arrows, and it will snap to some things, but again, it's a little bit tricky, and making that accurate can be difficult. So again, I've found when you want an opening in a wall and you want it to be set out accurately, it's easier to use another method, which is just as good. In fact, sometimes much better. It's a really important tool you should know anyway. And you get it when you select any wall, you'll then see up on the ribbon, you get this option, Edit Profile. So I'm just going to click on that Edit Profile button, and you'll see now that it's showing me essentially the shape of the wall in elevation. In other words, as it would be viewed from the side. And so that's a rectangle. Right? And so if I go to let's go to the floor plan, and you can see there that it's obviously looking like a line because we're looking at that rectangle from above. But if I go to, say, the south elevation, then again I can see it as a rectangle because I'm doing it from the side. Now I might change to wireframe, and then I can see all of the walls as well to the behind. And so then I'm just going to draw some lines. I won't spend too long on this. So not lines, in the draw panel, I'm just going to use the rectangle tool. And I'm going to start on the edge of my floor, and then I'll bring that up to a point, as long as it's 2400 high. I don't really care what the width is. So I'll just show you there, if you, when you're working in profile, want to set more accurate dimensions, you can select any of those lines, and notice how there it's giving me a measurement. If I change that, only that one will move. If I select the one on the left, again I can change that measurement, and only that one's moved. Maybe I'll change it a bit more so you can see definitely that only that line's moving, the other one isn't. And really, if you can draw a floor in plan, then you should be able to work with a profile. You just need to remember that you would go into a side view, like an elevation or a section. The section there is going to be similar. Okay, so I'll just tick to finish, and then I'll show you in the 3D view again. Now I can see there's an opening there. Then the curtain wall tool is one that, again, you will be able to use straight away as long as you know that it's there. You do it just with the wall tool, and then you'll see when you look in the list of walls that you have in properties, it's right at the bottom. You'll see all of the wall types you've been using so far, like the generic walls. They're actually basic walls. If you scroll down further, you'll see you have two other categories, curtain walls and then stacked walls. You won't need stacked walls for a long time, so curtain walls are the last one you'll need to know about for a while anyway. And you've got two types there. Have any of you tried either of those curtain walls? No. So a good way to think of them is the storefront being for automatic framing. So it's got a frame built in, following a pattern similar to the grid you can see there on the glass. The other one, 6mm thick glazing, or curtain wall 6mm thick glazing, is just a plain sheet of glass. And if you're not sure, that's the better one to use. If you don't know which one you want, generally just go with the plain one. So the first one there, curtain wall 6mm thick glazing, and I'm just going to then click one side of the opening, take it to the right. So looking at that glass there, do you think that's on the right side? Which side should glass be on, generally, in a window or a door? Should it be closer to the inside or the outside? Outside, definitely. So you can see there, the dashed line is the line that I'm drawing with, and that's right in the middle, and the glass is going above that, and that's the inside. So just remember, you can always use space to flip it, and you often will need to use that option with curtain walls. There they are, that's done. And okay, so it's telling me that the walls overlap. That's because I know this one, you can see there, I'll show you. So that glass is actually going all the way to the top, and I know that, that's fine, I'll bring it down later. But it's got enough for me to do my render. So looking at this now, you can see I've got a big opening there, and then I can start to show you the rendering tools because we can get some light. So I want to encourage you to all to start rendering before you finish your design. So it's a bit like printing. And again, one of those things that you maybe won't realise until you finish a project, that a lot of these things that you might think you need to leave until you've finished all of your design, you've got all your modelling done, your materials done, all your lights in there, and then you start rendering, or then you start printing. That's not the case at all. You should be setting these things up well before you finish your design. And if you're wondering when I do it, I still do a lot of design work, I usually set up my sheets as soon as I know how big the project is. So on the first or second day of working, I'll have some sheets set up, and I'll even maybe do some test renders to get the environment set up. So you can start setting this up as soon as you've got something that you can see in a interior perspective, like this, or even simpler than this. So to bring up the rendering dialog box, again on the View tab, you can just click Render. Down on the View control bar, you've got the Render button there as well. Right, so it's the teapot in Revit. Most Autodesk programs use that symbol. So if you want an interior render, you need to change the lighting scheme to one of the interior options. So either interior sun only or interior artificial only to start with. Try to avoid sun and artificial. So with interior sun only, that's the only option I've chosen, and I'm going to click Render and let it render on this computer. Okay, so that's not too bad for a quick draft render. But, well, what's the major problem there? Apart from the quality being not great on the material, Yeah, it does. The colours, that's right. So what's wrong with the colours overall? Maybe looking over here especially. Way overlight. That's right. It's too bright or overexposed. But yeah, over is a good way to think of it. So if you look down the bottom in this render dialog box, you'll see you've got the option to adjust exposure. And so the slider at the top controls the brightness, and it's very sensitive, so you can just drag it a little bit, click apply, and you'll see the change straight away. So actually I dragged it to the left, which is brighter. I should have dragged it to the right, which will be darker. And you generally want to avoid these areas where it's all white. That means it's overexposed. So again, here's another part there that's all white, and it should have a little bit of tone. So I'll take it to the right a bit more, click apply, and there we are. So now I'm getting tone on those surfaces. Okay, so I mean, obviously, still a long way to go with materials and the design generally, but again, you can start setting the render up, and then as you develop those things, you can come back and see how the render looks. So I'll click OK, and then maybe you can try a high quality render. Medium probably won't take much longer with these computers and the way the project is at the moment. If you've got a lot more in your scene, then and you find medium's taking too long, then just leave it on draft. So that'll do me for now. And so I might say I'm happy with those settings, and I'm going to try then using Rendering Cloud. I've logged in already, so I can then continue. And maybe I'll change the render quality to final, and the image size I'll just increase to large. That's it. Start rendering, and it'll get sent off to the cloud. There we go. So that's rendering in, it's actually Bay Area, North San Francisco, and so if we click on my login up in the top right, then you can see there's the option to go to render progress, and it will open up with a web page. Oh, edit profile. Okay, so you can see there that's rendering, and it'll probably tell me how long it's going to take. It says less than 50 minutes. It will be much less than that. It'll be more like 5-10 minutes. But I'll just show you quickly. I've got some others here that I did earlier. These are not amazing designs. This is just from a TAFE building down in St George. They're all very nice one here. Oh, that's, I don't know what that one is. That's for another one here. But these are all really quick, fairly low quality for the cloud, and so notice I can open up all of those in the web browser. It's just Internet Explorer, and you can do the same anywhere. So if you set it to render in the cloud from here, you can shut your computer down or leave it for someone else. Go to your computer at home, or even use your tablet when you're on the train, and with any browser, log into this site and get your images. So it's a fantastic service. These are just, if you click on them, so they're just raster images. So if I go here to download image, then when you go to save as, you can choose the format, and PNG is the only option they give you now anyway, so that's the best format. and it's that easy. So you can then save any file or any image you've rendered.
So when you're rendering in the cloud, you're using the finishes that they have available?
No, you're actually using yours. So it uploads the image files that you've used for the materials, and so you'll see that the one I've sent before is probably done now. I know it's getting there, but should show us a preview in a second. Here we are. So that painting there is one I've obviously added, and so it's gotten uploaded with everything else. So yeah, it's pretty clever that way. They upload all the map files and use them as a local resource for that job. So yeah, it's fantastic technology. And so again, this one's still chugging away, but in a few minutes that will be finished, and I can download that just like the others. So try to set that up as soon as you can. Well before your design's finished, you should be able to start doing some rendering. And it's actually easier if you set it up before you get towards the end of your design, because when your design's nearing completion, it's going to be much more complicated. You're going to have a lot more geometry, a lot of materials, and the rendering will go slower because of that. And also there's a lot more that can go wrong. And if something does go wrong, and you've got a really complicated project, it takes a long time to test and work out what's causing the problem. But if you started to set the render up early then, and gotten it working while it's still simple, then you know later when it's had things added, generally where the problem is. So, so again, I've got a lot of experience with rendering, and I can just tell you from experience that you should definitely try and set these up as soon as possible and use them as a tool to assist you as you work through your design process as well.